Aklat Alert!
You are looking at least 50 years of accumulation. So, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first book.
Nagsimula sa isang libro na kapag may ipong pera ay bibili ng isa o dalawa. Hanggang sa hindi mo na namamalayan, nakapagtayo ka na pala ng mini library sa inyong bahay. Iyan ang inspirasyon na nais maibahagi ng Filipino public historian na si Ambeth Ocampo. Tara mga Karib Pinoy, pasyalan natin ang library ni Ambeth Ocampo para sa ating Aklat Alert.
Solidaridad is there. This is Blair and Roberts, so documentary sources. And this is the 25 volumes of Rizal's writing. So all of his writing is here. Letters, diaries, etc. This is the facsimile of the Noli. So you see the handwritten version, what it looks like.
Para sa isang Ambeth Ocampo, ang library ay matatawag na personal na espasyo. Sa bawat hilera ng aklat na iyong madaraanan, tila nilalakbay mo na rin ang isipan ng mga may akda nito.
A library is also a personal space, and very few people actually come in. I'd like to share my shelf, not only so that you will get to know me, but hopefully to inspire you to also have your own libraries. You are looking at least 50 years of accumulation. So the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first book. And in 2000, they had a special exhibition of Thomas Jefferson's books. And he had a peculiar or a very personalized filing system. So what the library did was they arranged Jefferson's books in the way that he arranged it in his home in Monticello. And as I was walking inside, one of the librarians said something I will never forget. She said, "You are walking inside Jefferson's mind."
Pero paano nga ba nagsimula ang kanyang pagmamahal sa pagbabasa?
Libraries are very personal things, the way in which they are arranged. You can tell a person by the books that they are reading. I'd like to think that I became a reader because I grew up in a house with books. My father was a reader. Reading was something that he developed early in life and one of the treasures that he gave me. As a boy, I remember that if I asked for a toy was a choice. Father would say no, but he would never say no to a book. In a sense, I guess that was his way of making me a reader.
Gaano kahalaga na mayroon tayong personal na pag-aari ng mga libro?
When I started as a historian, many of my mentors like Teodoro Agoncillo and Emilio Aguilar Cruz used to say that you have to buy books because that is actually your weapon as both as a writer and as a historian. So we really had to buy the books because at the time, wala pang internet. Many things I can find online, but many books are still not online, and that is why it's important to have your own set. I remember one of my biggest acquisitions was the Blair and Robertson. It's 55 volumes of historical documents on the Philippines. And I remember Abe Cruz was telling me, "Ba't ka bibili niyan? Any decent library will have the books. So you don't really need them." And I replied, paano kung alas 2 ng umaga kailangan ko? Mag-aantay pa ba ako next day para bilhin? And then, parang away kami niyan na wag daw ako bumili. So without telling him, I bought a set. The pleasure is not just in the reading. The pleasure is also visual. You can smell it. You can hear pages. So it's a multi-sensory experience. So the books are there for reference, for work, but they're also there for pleasure.
Ano naman ang mairerekomendang libro ni Ambeth Ocampo?
The best Philippine history for me is the 10-volume Filipino Heritage because it's a delight to read and it's very visual. The second is also the 10 volumes called Kasaysayan, the History of the Filipino People, which again was the best history that could be bought by 1998, and it's also well presented. But to read a 1-volume history, it would probably be Philippine State and Society by Patricio Abinales and Donna Amoroso, which distills all the known academic sources into 1 volume. So it teaches us why the state and how the state came about. History, Unfortunately, you can only bring the multi-volumes. You cannot bring them to bed with you, but that's the best that I can do. Of course, Rizal's novels come to mind, mainly because they are not read for pleasure. They have to be read for pleasure, to be enjoyed, and not to make us into patriotic Filipinos. So that makes 3. 4 would be Nick Joaquin. He has many books which are worth reading, but the 2 books of Nick Joaquin recently is his book called Culture and History, and the second one is Question of Heroes, because then this gives you a very iconoclastic view of what we all learned in school. So if it helps you rethink what we think we know, then it has served its purpose. The last one would be, I'm not really a great fan of lit, but one is the collection of poetry by Jose Garcia Villa, because he actually makes you think. I mean, there's wonderful, and it's not just text, it's the way in which the letters on a page form. No? Then there's one called The Emperor's New Clothes, and then it's blank. So it's wonderful. So that's the English version. There is a little-known Tagalog writer called Alejandro G. Abadilla, who wrote poetry in Filipino just as wonderful and as complicated as Villa's. So these are the 2 sides of the same coin.
Anong taon ang pinakalumang libro ni Ambeth Ocampo?
My oldest book is unfortunately in Kyoto University now. It was 17th century book, History of the Philippines. No? But my oldest book in this library is 1788. It is volume 2 of the monumental Historia General de Filipinas. It is significant not only because it is old, but because it is printed in Manila by Filipino printers. So it is a marvel of early Filipino bookmaking and book printing.
Kitang-kita naman kung gaano kamahal ng isang Ambeth Ocampo ang pagbabasa.
One of my mentors, Emilio Aguilar Cruz, used to say that the sources of writing are reading, travel, and conversation. He says, if you have all 3 of these, you will never run out of things to write about. The mind is like a well, and we draw from this well, whatever it is, writing, speaking, whatever, and the well dries up. And one of the ways to replenish it is by reading. While I cannot read as much, and now I'm teaching college freshmen, many of them who don't like to read, and I keep telling them, university students should develop a love for reading. Once you develop that, you should read as much as you can.
Para sa Read Pinoy, ako si Bianca Villa.